Hello, I'm Quartermuncher. Welcome to the Quartermuncher experience, where I play RPGs I've been putting off for too long. Skies of Arcadia Legends is a traditional JRPG with a focus on exploration, skyfaring adventure, and turn-based combat both on foot and in airship battles. It was developed by Oberworks, a subdivision of Sega, and is often celebrated for its charm, expansive world, and optimism. And fun. Originally released for the Dreamcast in 2000, the Legends version came to the GameCube in 2003 with added content and reduced encounter rates, as well as bounty hunts, discoveries, and side bosses. The game itself emphasized a swashbuckling tone with airship pirates and a globe-spanning mystery, with a lot of lore and depth to it. At the time, it was lauded for the world, characters, and creative settings, but I'm playing it in 2025 just to see how it holds up. This isn't a review, this is a journey. Let me tell you about the Quartermuncher experience. Skies of Arcadia is, not surprisingly, set in Arcadia, a planet with floating continents and 6 elemental moons. The game follows Vice, a member of the Blue Rogues, sky pirates who fight for the people. Alongside his partner Aika and Fina, this girl he sort of finds, he gets swept up in a battle against the tyrannical Valuan Empire. They seek the power of the ancient Gigas, moon-powered war titans. Each region represents a culture inspired by real-world civilizations. Characters are full of optimism, earnestness, and personality. The towns themselves are lively, each with distinct architecture and themes, such as the tribal Horteca, Middle Eastern-inspired Nostrad, or the icy lands of Glacia. Towns offer your pretty basic, standard shops, discoveries, inns, yada yada yada. And there's also Pirate Isle, which was, well, your home base later on in the game. Dungeons in Skies of Arcadia are mostly linear but well-designed with puzzles, theme hazards, and treasures. Some include gimmicks such as airship-related navigation. The narrative in Skies of Arcadia blends classic good versus evil with a bit of ancient mystery. Fina's mission to recover the moon crystals, the threat of awakening the Gigas, and the struggle towards the Valuan Empire form the core of the story. Tonally, the game is optimistic and adventurous rather than grim. While most RPGs of the era focused on linear storytelling and/or limited world traversal, Skies offered open exploration via your ship early on. Ship battles are strategic, they're sort of mini tactical RPG segments with resource management and positioning, and discovery as a gameplay mechanic. The core gameplay essentially consists of those airship battles, turn-based battles on land, exploration via airship, and some side quests. Land battles, meanwhile, use a shared spirit pool which you use to use magic and special attacks. This regenerates every turn. You can also change your weapon types, elemental affinities, status effects, yada yada, your pretty typical magical pool. It's nothing, if you played a turn-based RPG, you've played Skies of Arcadia's. It's nothing out of left field. Progression in Skies of Arcadia is done fairly routine as well. Characters level traditionally and gain magic and skills by either leveling or using moonberries. Skies of Arcadia uses its art style to express its bright, colorful optimism pretty right on the nose. It uses bold character design, stylized environments that run at 30 frames per second with sharp textures and improved lighting on the GameCube version. The soundtrack was developed by Yutaka Minobe and Takayuki Maeda. It is heroic, sweeping, and often emotional. It adapts dynamically to battle conditions, such as when you're losing a battle, and fits the cultures of the various locations. This being an early 2000s game, there's not a lot of voice acting, just battle grunts and catchphrases. It adds a bit of charm rather than it detracts. It does, however, show that it's rather dated as a game. Menus are functional, but again, the game does show its age. In my playthrough of Seas of Arcadia, I essentially played it straight through, no fuss, no muss, no surprises. Alright, time for things I liked and didn't. Things I liked, I've always dug the aesthetics of Sky Pirates, and that's one of them. Seas of Arcadia scratches that itch real deep. I also like the game's sense of adventure. The story in the game is fairly above average in the best way possible, but it's also more about the journey than the destination. The cast is fine, if nothing special, but the way the music, the sound effects, and the world blend together really give it the Sky Pirate adventure feel. Adding on to that is Seas of Arcadia's world map. Seas of Arcadia has one of the better world maps in recent memory. You have a ship, and once you get to Delphinius, you can get upgrades that let you bypass the barriers that block you in the early game. It truly lives up to a game called Seas of Arcadia. Another thing I liked about Seas of Arcadia was the combat system. It was familiar enough for a turn-based game to be at home, but unique enough to be original. The SP system provides enough to be strategic, leading to some thought put into some encounters. I also dug the side content. This being a game about Sky Pirates, the game focuses on discovering the undiscovered, and a list of bounties for you to catch. The difference between regular vanilla Seas of Arcadia and Legends is the Piastral side quest, where you search for moonfish to give them to a girl and fight a side boss. As much as I did like Seas of Arcadia, I also do have some dislikes about it. For starters, the random encounter rate is still quite high, even on the Legends version. Unfortunately, I was not able to explore or do the side content as much as I would have liked due to the encounter rate grating on my patience. One of my biggest quality of life issues would be to address this in a modern version, but this is what it is. Another thing I disliked was, I don't want to say I disliked the ship combat, because it's more of a love-hate relationship, but in every single one of those battles, both ships, both yours and the enemies, take their time posturings and taking their turns, and end up wasting a lot of time with animations, both moving and attacking. I really do want to like them, but a lot of this stuff would be better if you could just skip the animations. The best part of Seas of Arcadia is the moment in ship battles when you get to fire the cannon. Now, this varies depending on where you are in the game. You have either the harpoon or the moonstone cannon, depending on where you are in the game. But personally, shooting a highly experimental laser through your opponents is one thing, but there is something a lot more personal about shooting a drill on a rope that I like a bit more. The worst part about Seas of Arcadia was being falsely labeled as Vice the Fallen Pirate. This is part of a side quest where you need to take on some imposter sullying your good name. Except due to where I was in the game, I was unable to clear my name due to them not showing up. As such, by the end of the game, I was still the Fallen Pirate. Alright, now it's time for By the Numbers. Seas of Arcadia Legends took me 32 hours, with a party of 4 out of a grand total of 6 party members. There's also 6 gigas destroyed and moons pooned, with 2 airships with cannons. Alright, well, till next time, I've been Quartermuncher, and I'll see you next time on the Quartermuncher Experience.